So thank you for taking some time to meet with me today. Why don't we start off by you just giving me a little introduction about yourself?
Sure, yeah. So, my name's Rob Miller. I guess a little background on my, education and current job. So I received my master's and undergraduate degrees in math and secondary education, actually at Stony Brook University. I had a really big interest in physics, so while I was going to school, I ended up actually also getting my teaching certificate in physics, so in addition to math. I ended up graduating in 2007, which was right at the beginning of what they call the Great Recession. And so I had received a job doing substituting at a school, which, by the way, only paid $11 an hour. I was also competing with a lot of different, way more experienced teachers. So I was going to interviews. There was probably dozens of people waiting around, to be interviewed. It was almost like you were kind of auditioning for a movie. And so I had a friend of mine that worked at Softheon that I had met on campus, and I'd known him for several years. He was an engineer here at Softheon when there was about 4 or 5 people at the company. And so I interviewed with the CEO and a couple other folks, and didn't really know too much about software as a math major. I didn't really have a huge, maybe technical background per se, but I was offered a position as part of the support team, if you will. So I would say fast forward to today. It's been just about 14 years since I got the job at Softheon, and now I'm the executive vice president and general manager of our government division. I also have an awesome family. I live out east in Suffolk County, and I actually have a new baby that's on the way coming in September, my third kid. I'm also in the middle of all of this getting my executive MBA at Washington State University and preparing myself to hopefully one day run the company.
Awesome. And tell me a little bit about what your day-to-day is in your current role.
Sure, yeah. So my day really starts with an early morning scrum with my team. We usually start around 8:30, 8:45. We determine kind of what the highest priorities are for that day, what we need from each other, what we need from others in the company, and we set kind of the expectations on what we want to accomplish for that day. Our goal is usually to make 3 to 5 top, priority decisions. There's a phrase that we use, which is, the question is, how do you eat an elephant? And the answer is one bite at a time. So we necessarily can't solve every single problem, but the one thing we can do is kind of continue to chip away at the list and push ourselves to do better, than the day before, if you will. From there, I'll typically shift my focus to our clients. So this will be making sure that the product is functioning, the operations team is, hitting our service level agreements or what they call SLAs. It also usually means connecting, through either, phone calls or text messages or email or what have you, with my client contacts to make sure that they are happy customers. From there, I typically will shift my focus to new client implementations. So checking to see, are we on track with development? Are we hitting the dates that are in our project plan? Do we have any, resource issues that I can help address? So this is all usually before noon. So then at noon, we usually have a leadership call with the leaders within the company where we kind of discuss the challenges and opportunities in our different areas. Usually after that call, I'm then usually shifting my focus to more like sales and marketing. What opportunities are we hunting down? What are competitors doing? How can we improve our content, on the website, for example, to reach more potential customers? My afternoon, I try to keep open if I can to kind of dig deeper into any one of those different areas. So as I see a potential area that I need to continue to maybe explore or dig deeper, maybe we have an operations issue with one of our existing clients, or we have a new sales opportunity coming up, like a new demo, I'll use that time to kind of focus on those different areas that might need my support. And then usually I try to wrap up the day by having my own like end-to-end day check-in with the team. Again, is there anything that I can do to lift any impediments that may be in their way to make sure that they've hit the accomplishments they had hoped to have, when we had discussed on our morning scrum. But I would say I spend nearly all of my time, especially during the day, trying to set up my team for success. One thing that I've said often is we try to hire people that are smarter than us. I certainly have no ego because ultimately the company benefits from it. I benefited as well. And I would say my daily goal, which may sound a little crazy, is to make my job obsolete. I want to make it so that my team is empowered to kind of do the job that is needed. If I would say if the list of titles I've had at Softheon has shown anything over the last 14 years, is that there's always some other job to be done in a growing technology company. So that's pretty much what my day-to-day is. Of course, it's always different every day, but I try to keep my kind of day structured, if you will, within those different buckets.
Definitely. And I know you were talking a lot about your team. Can you tell me a little bit about what your team does at Softheon?
Sure, yeah. So I would say, while I run kind of everything for the government division from sales and marketing, to operations, I focus most of my time on the customer, and a lot of my team does the same thing. So actually, if you haven't heard of it, there's a really awesome book called The Lean Startup by Eric Ries. And one awesome quote from Eric, maybe paraphrasing, but the only way to win is to learn faster than anyone else. So everybody is trying to do the same thing, and the one way that you can try to do better is to win, if you will, is to learn faster than others. And I think, in my opinion, and I know Eric Ries in the book would also agree, one of the fastest way to do that is by learning from your customers. So most of my team consists of a role or a title that we have called a client executive. They mainly focus on ensuring we are adding value to our clients on a daily basis. So this is done by a few different things. One of them is operational excellence, bringing new innovative products to the team. In fact, actually on that note, one of the kind of interesting things at Softheon is that we actually don't really charge our clients for new products. What we do is we find an anchor client, if you will, that will actually try to teach us everything that we need to know, and will be our kind of beta users, or what they call early adopters for that product. So in the event that we kind of screw up that product, for lack of a better phrase, we've screwed it up together. And if it works, and it usually always does, we now have a kind of a raving fan client that will then actually go out and sell the product, if you will, to other potential clients. So I would say it's sort of a win-win for everybody. So a lot of it, like I said, is what we do is, at least for my team, it's all about the customer. So if it's our client executives working with our existing clients, or our sales team trying to learn and understand more things from prospective clients, it always, to me, kind of always come back to, rallying around the customer themselves.
Awesome. And what would you say is your favorite part about working at Softheon?
Oh boy, yeah. So there's really so many awesome things, great things at Softheon. I mean, at the same time, I don't want to paint it as some rosy ping pong playing company, if you will, right? The work that we do is really serious. It can be stressful. Stress is okay as long as you can manage it appropriately, if you will. I would say the sheer amount of opportunity that exists at Softheon honestly feels like limitless. And as a kind of an autonomous or flat type of organization, the employees themselves set a lot of their own direction and follow their passion. Like I mentioned before, one of my goals really is just to make sure that my team doesn't have any kind of blockers in their own paths to define their own kind of destiny, if you will. And so I would say many people at Softheon have been able to move to different areas, much like when you're in college and you think you want one job when you go in, and you end up maybe going to something else that you never necessarily really expected, and you come to kind of love it. I think that, that plus the people, just generally speaking, the people at Softheon are just really awesome, to work with. And I would say, in many respects, it's like kind of like a big family. So I know COVID has been a little bit of a challenge. We kind of miss seeing each other. So when we kind of were able to have some of these events, like in the parking lot, watching a drive-in, movie theater, it's really awesome to kind of see everybody again.
Definitely. And what attributes does someone need to be successful, either just in Softheon or part of your team?
Sure, yeah. So I think, especially early on at my time at Softheon, I might have expected, somebody with 20 years of experience to be the kind of people that you would want to hire. But I would say, we've learned over the past, since I've been here 10 years or so, that it's much better to find somebody with intelligence, passion is really important, honesty, than maybe somebody that does have that 20 years of experience. There's another really great book by Simon Sinek called Start With Why. And so he talks a lot about, why are you doing what you're doing? And I think that'll come out in hearing somebody's passion for kind of why they're pursuing a certain career or why they're doing a certain job or why why a company even exists. Why does Softheon exist? And we talk a lot about, trying to get people actually to get healthcare and make healthcare cheaper. And we truly, really do believe that. So I would say, in fact, that we found that it's much more difficult to keep the high energy and innovation when hiring people that have spent most of their career trying to fit in the box. I would say while we're classified as a healthcare IT company, our technology actually has nothing to do with healthcare. Our software has been used by companies probably before most of you guys were born, like AOL, the CUNY school system, the Research Foundation, the fourth floor of the Stony Brook Library, every 7-Eleven store in North America used Softheon, and I think it just shows that the platform itself can be super flexible, which means that, again, if we can just hire really smart people that are passionate and willing to try things, again, out of the box, that just means that we can hire them to help solve some of the problems that we're seeing today. So it's really the crazy smart people that I think we try to hire that makes us the most successful.
Definitely. And what opportunities are there for advancement or professional development here?
Ooh, yeah. So again, there's tons of opportunity. We do a lot of continuous learning at Softheon, not just maybe informally, but even formally through things like LinkedIn Learning. The company sponsors people to go back to school. Like I said, I'm going to get my executive MBA. So I would say forgetting about the fact that I'm the executive vice president at the age of 35 of a $100 million company, I've seen so many people coming to Softheon right out of college that really just prove their hard work ethic and their passion and intelligence, and they continue to grow and learn very quickly within the organization, even within a few months or a year. So if you haven't heard the term, I would say I would call ourselves a meritocracy, which means that really the only thing that wins is the best ideas. So seniority really means nothing. And I would say it's kind of an interesting quote, but our CEO often says, which again can be sometimes awkward with clients, is that he's the dumbest guy in the room. And it's a little harsh, if you will, but our CEO is basically telling everybody that he's the dumbest guy in the room. And it's the reason why it's to remind people that they are the greatest asset, not us, not the leaders, if you will, within the company. And then without them and their willingness to push us forward, we won't be able to grow without them. And I would say, just one other note there, is being the dumbest guy in the room doesn't mean you have to stay dumb. I need to continue to push myself and learn. I don't want to be the dumbest guy in the room forever. I want to learn what they can learn. And we'll continue to kind of follow in their footsteps. Obviously, if I couldn't do that, I wouldn't be qualified to have this particular position.
Yeah, awesome. And what excites you the most about Softheon's future?
Sure. Yeah. So again, I started in 2007. I would say pretty much, right out of college. Maybe I shouldn't be saying this, but I did once go 6 months without being paid. We were really a growing startup, but I just saw so much potential in the company. And again, hearing the passion from Eugene, our CEO, and the other people at the organization, and really the product itself. Like I said, it's really neat to see that we've been able to grow the company from just a few of us to now 200 people with a product that really hasn't changed a whole lot. Of course, it's been upgraded. We go from .NET 1 to 2 and so on and so forth. But that same product, I used to explain when nobody knew who we were. That Softheon was like a bunch of Lego blocks. And so we would be able to take those Lego blocks and rearrange it in different formats, if you will. So the same, platform that we have that we delivered to 7-Eleven to scan in, their human resource documents and accounts receivables is the same solution that we delivered to Emblem Health in the city to manage their electronic health records. It's the same solution that we delivered for the Affordable Care Act as well. So again, I think that ability to be able to pivot if we want to, of course, I think we're staying focused in ACA, especially with some of the recent changes in the government. But the ability to pivot and then build new products as well as to add to our existing products is quite frankly so easy that it excites me at the fact that, again, on a dime, if everything fell apart, we could build a new product and start marketing it to some brand new industry that we're not even in. So I think for that reason, I think the future is bright, and it always remained bright since I've been at Softheon. Honestly, every day I would say the future is even better than I expected it to be, from the past.
Yeah, definitely. And before we wrap up, is there any advice or anything that you would want to tell students that are graduating or people who are interested in coming into Softheon?
Sure. Yeah, I think so when I was going to college, and even honestly since I was 14, I've been working, whether it's at McDonald's or at nursing homes and what have you. And I think the one thing that I wish I had done when I was going to school was to look for more internships. So working at the veterans home at Stony Brook, and I think I worked at the hospital at one point in the kitchen. It was good experience to have, working experience, working with other people and things like that, but it really applied almost zero to what I'm doing today. So I do see a lot of people coming in. I know we have a really awesome intern program at Softheon. I think one big recommendation I would have is whether you're, in the mailroom opening up mail, just to get in the door, find a company that you think might be a company that you would want to work at after you graduated, and see if you can just get in the door. Like I said, it may not be doing exactly what you would expect to do. Maybe you can get an internship, but again, maybe you can be the person mopping the floors. And I think either way, you're going to learn from others in the company. It also will be a great position for you to be in so that when you do graduate, you might have an employer that knows you really well, and they may be more open to hiring you, again, even if you don't, again, have that experience, because they've been able to see your passion, your intelligence, and everything, that I mentioned before.
Definitely. Thank you so much for that, and thank you for meeting with us today.
Great. Thank you. Good luck, everybody.